Hi, my name is Nikki Flynn, and this is Module 1 for District Technology Operations and Management. Just a little bit about myself. I'm married to my husband Cody, who is also a teacher, and we have two kids, Keenan and Kendall. They're 11 and 9. Some of my career experiences, I started as a distant learning director for Lincoln High School. I then went and was the technology director for Concordia School District, so I do have some technology background. I taught math for a year at St. John's Military School and math for 3 years at Sylvan Lucas High School. I then was the technology director, again, business teacher for 1 year at Sylvan. And I originally went to school to be a high school business teacher and just with the path of education, never got the opportunity. When I first started out, there was actually too many teachers, not a teacher shortage like there is today. And so I finally got to be a business teacher. So I took the opportunity at Lincoln High School, where I actually is my alma mater. So it was exciting to go back home. I was also the athletic director there. And this last year, I completed my first year as a building principal for Lincoln High School. So I just kind of moved up the ranks at Lincoln High School since I started there 7 years ago. I am currently working on my licensure for district leadership, which is why I'm in this class, and I hope to be done next spring. Some of my goals. So 1 to 5 year goal, I want to complete my district administrator certificate and obtain a superintendent job in the next 5 years. 5 to 10 years, I continue to build and grow my district to be the best district in the state, wherever it is I happen to get that job at, hopefully. And then beyond 10 years, I'll be looking at retirement. I hope to retire from being a superintendent, and hopefully my success in that role is shown by others. One of the things that I left the classroom because I wanted to make a larger impact on more students. I felt that the only students I was touching were the ones that walked through my doors, which, though that was very gratifying and rewarding, I felt like I could do a lot more as a principal. I could reach more kids in that role and capacity, and so I am doing that in the building role, but then I felt like I might as well just keep going and doing superintendent so I can impact the students in the whole district. So that's kind of where I'm at. I feel like I hope I have the ability and personality and work ethic to be able to obtain those goals and reach that. So to go through module 1, some of the things that I learned after reading the articles. So biggest thing to create a learner-centric vision, we concentrate so much on what kids need to learn. We teach the test, or that's so it's said. We teach out of the textbook and not really teach those other skills that we are learning that kids need, more valuable than maybe even what we teach in the classroom. And those are the non-cognitive skills. According to one of the articles, they've been called many different things. One of them, character, traits and habits, social emotional skills, which seems to be one of the hot topics right now in education. A growth mindset, 21st century skills, I think that very related to technology, soft skills, and grit. These are things that sometimes I wonder to myself if we can really teach them or if they're what we are born with. Personalized professional learning. I think this is very critical for the growth of a school district. It's very important that we provide professional learning for our staff. They are really the leaders of the school. Without them, the school wouldn't exist. We have to make sure that we're preparing them to be the most successful that they can possibly be. And that's where the professional learning, we need to give them the skills and the keys to be successful in the classroom, be successful whether they're the cook or the janitor, whatever those skills are, we need to make sure that we're providing professional learning for them. One of the articles talked about 6 keys for this professional learning, and the first one was focused on the leaders first. And I found that very compelling because if the leaders don't understand exactly what you're giving to the teachers, how are they supposed to give them the resources to be successful if you don't really know what you're even teaching your teachers? So I thought that was very informative, and I actually enjoyed this article quite a bit. You need to create time, structures, formal roles to support ongoing school-based collaborative professional learning. You need to pick research-based learning. Sometimes I feel like in education we pick the latest, greatest thing instead of really looking to see what's best for our school district. Recognize the stages of curriculum implementation. How do we do that? And then ensure that districts work closely with the school to plan, communicate, and implement school-based professional learning. And I think that's where that team piece goes. We don't need to just shove everything down that's brand new. We need to pick what's best for our district. Not all districts are the same, and we need to find something that works for our staff. The infrastructure, that one is very key. I have been a technology director, so I feel like this is, I understood this completely. You can have all the best computers, but if you don't have the infrastructure in place to run those computers, it really does no good at all. You need to have up-to-date, high-quality devices. Things change so much in technology. I'm not sure that I could even go back to technology director and be successful just because of the changes that have happened in the last 10 years since I've been one. In the infrastructure piece of the bandwidth, if you have no bandwidth in your building, your devices will not work. And then the other thing is technology is changing so quickly that it's critical that you have a rotation of devices to stay up to date. And not only that, you need to have a rotation of infrastructure because your the firewall, the switches, and the things in the background that nobody really pays attention to, they do get outdated, and you do need to keep them up to date. Budget and resources. This is always very critical in the time of education. Education gets trickier and trickier as they cut funding or don't give enough funding or change fundings, or I find is that they require us to do more things but with not as more funding to do them. I find it very difficult in a small district to be able to do all the things that the government requires us to do, and they expect us to do the same things that a 6A school does with less people. So budget and resources, the biggest thing is finding the best bang for your buck, I guess, the best value. And more than anything, budget-wise, is time. Time is so valuable, probably more valuable than any money. And where we implement those programs, yes, it costs money, but we have to have the time spent to learn those programs. And that's not a monetary piece to the puzzle. Community partnership. There was one of the articles was specifically about parents and caregivers and what they really want in their educational support. And I think they know what they want. They just don't really know how to communicate that to us. And we don't always do a good job communicating that back to them and that we are providing those things. Some of the things that this article talked about in terms of a survey and when they talked to parents and caregivers was they want good quality curriculum, instruction, and program. They want supportive schools. They want small class sizes, technology, a good positive school and climate. They want the data broken down by the student so you can see exactly what your student is doing. And then they just want the information given to them. But the key to that, one of the things that they talked about was information to the parents, but also information from the parents. And it needs to be a two-way street. I think that most schools do provide these things. We just don't always do a good job of communicating those back that we are doing them. The next one is data and privacy. So many of these things are required by the government, the state, and laws put in place that we have privacy in place. But one of the articles talked about how data drives decisions, and I totally agree with that 100%. For the things they talked about, the data is very helpful for in terms of teachers and school leaders is curriculum, how that's chosen, effective classroom practices, what are we doing in the classroom to reach all our students, teacher training or professional development, and the development of our teachers as they grow. We should use the data that's in place to make those decisions. Space and time, one of the things that I just said a little bit ago is that time is so critical. We don't ever have enough of it. We need to do a great job of giving our teachers the time that they need to be able to implement, to be able to reach students, to be able to evaluate data. Time is so valuable and there's never enough of it, no matter if you're the principal, the superintendent, the teacher, or even the students at times. I feel like we continue to spread ourselves so thin and that we aren't using our time valuable in a place. Space as well. Are we using our classrooms the best way that we can to reach students? Are we giving them the most opportunities that we possibly can, giving them pathways for learning? And we're making those spaces available to them. Collaborative leadership. This was professional learning that's highly collaborative and intended to build the capacity of the school and the district. Kind of talked about this already with our professional learning needs to be a team. The principals, the administration shouldn't be telling the staff what they're going to be learning. It should be a team decision. What direction do we want to go? It should be shared learning. How do we make our district the best it can be? And that needs to be all stakeholders need to be involved. And then that designs the professional learning and growth that we move forward. My personal experience with technology, like I said, I've been a tech director, and technology is not ever going to go away. It's going to be here forever, but I do feel like it has changed. Um, it's changed the way we raise kids. It's changed the way that we interact with each other. It's changed the way that society operates. I don't know that it's always been in a positive way, but it definitely has changed. I think the other thing is we need to use our research much more. Um, in terms of looking at what we really need and putting our fingertips on that to make the decisions so they're more readily available. And that's one benefit of it, but are we using it to the best of our advantage? Technology is a tool, and not teacher or the answer to teaching students, but it is a tool that we can use. So related to the correlation of the standards, technology will always have to be evaluated before being implemented in the school system. We can't always just take the latest, greatest and think it's going to fix all of our problems. And we need to evaluate each technology tool first before we implement it into it. How is this relevant? Like I said, I have quite a bit of background in technology, but I also know that it changes so rapidly that we always have to find the best tool to help our students and to be what's best for our kids. I could use more of these tools in implementing technology. Now that I've switched from being a teacher to a principal, I always try to figure out the best way to use technology even in my job and to make my world easier for myself, but also more impactful for my students and for the staff that I have. We could also improve on the implementation tasks of giving teachers the best tools for success, but we also need to listen to what they want and not just push things onto them. Time is always our biggest obstacle. Here's the references from the articles. Thank you.